Hey, what's up, everybody? We are back for some more NFL DFS picks and lineup advice for tonight's single game showdown slate on FanDuel and DraftKings. Thursday Night Football, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Baltimore Ravens. Welcome. I'm Brian Jester, co-founder here at Occupy Fantasy, single game $1 million winner. If you're new, what we do in these videos on Mondays and Thursdays, we talk about the injuries that impact the DFS slate, lineup construction tips for low risk and high risk contests, general strategies, and just everything you need to win on these showdown slates. Before we get started, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. I've been saying this the last couple of videos since the NBA season started. Obviously, subscribing helps us as a channel. Let's just be transparent about that. But for you, it helps you as well because we are uploading multiple videos per day. The YouTube algorithm doesn't necessarily like that. So if you're not subscribed and you do like these NFL videos or you like the NBA videos, there's a chance you may not see them in your feed if you aren't subscribed. So just do yourself a favor. If you like the videos, subscribe. If you don't like them, don't subscribe. That simple. Give us a thumbs up. We ask that, so it lets us know that we should continue to make these types of videos. Any questions, I will monitor the YouTube channel throughout the day. But if you want more in-depth discussion, join our Discord server, occupyfantasy.com/Discord. Link is in the description. So let's get started. Lots of injuries tonight to think about, to talk about, to walk through. And let's start from the top down. Mark Andrews hasn't practiced in 2 weeks. Played last week, played his normal complement of snaps. And I think a lot of you may look at the box score and say, well, maybe the injury impacted his production. Looking at some film stuff, some hashtag film guys I look at on Twitter, apparently it was a concerted effort from the opposing defense to take Mark Andrews out of the game plan. Not really anything to do with his injury since he did play a full amount of snaps. And while he didn't practice at all this week on a short week, it is a little scary. But Jeff Zrebiak of The Athletic, one of the most trusted beat reporters, says he expects Andrews to play, no issues. Let's monitor just in case, but we expect Andrews to play and should play his normal role. Again, monitor news throughout the day. Other players on Baltimore's injury report, they had limited practices all week, but they are expected to play in Gus Edwards, in Rashad Bateman. Now, Gus Edwards, let's just talk through this really quickly. If you haven't played any Baltimore showdown slates, you haven't paid that much attention, remember that J.K. Dobbins is on injured reserve. His knee flared up. Gus Edwards returned last week. Saw the most snaps, but it was still a pretty three-headed approach between Gus Edwards, Kenyon Drake, and Justice Hill. Edwards got the touchdowns in the production. But let's not be mistaken. This is a three-headed backfield, and the Ravens have said as much. They expect them to continue to split among all three running backs. So just keep that in mind as you're building your lineups. Bateman came back last week. His normal role being his 60-70% of snaps. He's going to play once again tonight. All right, as we keep on scrolling, an impactful injury on the Tampa Bay side, Russell Gage, who, although he's been injured all year, it feels like he's missed some games. He hasn't. This will be the first game he misses. He is out tonight against the Ravens, slot wide receiver, and they may get Julio Jones back. He didn't practice on Monday, limited Tuesday and Wednesday. They're calling him a game-time decision. I'm still a little skeptical. No real word out there, but it seems like we need some full practices from Julio if we're going to get him back on the practice field, given how they've managed the injury so far. If he does play, expect his part-time role that we kind of saw back in week 1. And he's affordably priced, and with Russell Gage out, he'll be a factor. But if he's not playing, and Gage is out, and Julio's out, Greg Allman, another trusted beat reporter for the Buccaneers, believes that Brashad Perriman will be the likely benefactor as the wide receiver 3. He's super cheap. And then Scotty Miller will get some run as well. We know when he's been on the field, Brady has targeted him heavily. So Miller going to play some snaps as well. Both these guys are salary-saving options if both Julio and Gage are out. Gage is definitely out, but if Julio is out as well. And honestly, even if Julio plays, he's not going to play a full-time role. So these guys will get snaps as well. So for your large field contest, Miller and Perriman are still in play. All right, moving on down. Cameron Brate still is out, so Cade Otton will be the starting tight end for Tampa Bay. Let's keep moving. Yeah, there's Cameron Brate there. And I think that is it as far as offensive inactives. Now, there are some defensive inactives that impact the slate as well. Calais Campbell, one of the Baltimore's best defensive players along the defensive line, he is out. So that certainly helps maybe Tampa Bay get back on track tonight. And then Tampa Bay is missing a ton of guys in their secondary. Slot corner, Antoine Winfield, one of their starting safeties, a couple of their reserve corners, Carlton Davis, one of their starting cornerbacks. So they're pretty decimated in the secondary. Now, some of these guys have played the past couple of weeks, but it's still not a situation you want. I guess, fortunately, if there is a team that you would rather be down on corners than any other position, it's probably against the Ravens, who don't pass as much, and when they do, it's mostly targeted towards Mark Andrews. But with all those cornerback injuries, those defensive back injuries, you got to think it puts a little boost up to Rashad Bateman, as well as Devin Duvernay, who's playing a ton of snaps for the Ravens as well. So, all right, let's move on. Let's talk about low-risk contests, 50-50s, double-ups, head-to-heads. These are just type of contests where you just have to beat half the field to double your money. I'm not sure this is the slate you want to do that tonight. You can play low risk if you want. You can use our usual strategies of trying to lock up all the scoring, of trying to play all of the values. You can certainly do that. But I think there's a ton of risk. And obviously we have the Andrews. We think he's going to play. Beat reporters say he's going to play. But if he doesn't play, that changes a lot of things. Or if he's just limited at all. Because if you look at Andrews, obviously he's expensive, $9,200 in the flex. But his backups, rotational tight ends around him are incredibly cheap. Isaiah Likely at $1,600. He would be the biggest beneficiary if Andrews is limited because he's the more pass-catching tight end of the two. And Josh Oliver is min price at $200. So any snaps that Andrews doesn't play, these guys benefit. They're great plays already because they already see the field. They've run some routes. But if Andrews is limited, that changes the dynamic of all contest types, low risk especially. We have the uncertainty with the Tampa Bay receivers. We have the three-headed backfield with Baltimore and Tampa Bay. And one thing that I haven't really seen much talk about that makes this a little riskier is Leonard Fournette, who the past couple of games has played a lot of snaps. Obviously had the two big games against Atlanta and Pittsburgh, but he really hasn't been efficient. If you look at Pro Football Focus, he's graded as like their 64th best running back as far as rushing grade. Obviously, there's only 32 teams in the league, so every team plus their backup is basically rated better than Leonard Fournette when it comes to running the ball. And we talked about the spidey senses tingling in the Monday night game with Mac Jones and some of the reports. Head coach Todd Bowles came out on Sunday after the game, said Tampa Bay's in a dark place. Yeah, we're very familiar. We know all about dark places after losses, right? But what he said after that piqued my interest. He said, we have to still see if some of these old guys can play, and if not, do we need to bring in some of these new guys, these younger guys, for some fresh blood? Obviously, that could apply to a lot of different positions. But I think one position it applies to that is easy to discover on the surface is running back. If Fournette has been as inefficient as possible, they drafted Rachaad White, and they started playing him a little more back in weeks 4 and 5, or 3 and 4. So if that's the case, and they want to get White more involved, he's a value, and Leonard Fournette is overpriced. That gives a lot of risk to Leonard Fournette. So I don't think this is a report that we'll see before the game, but I think it's one of those positions. I think most of the other positions, he's not talking about Tom Brady, maybe he is, but I think he's mostly talking about maybe offensive line or somewhere on defense because the defense made a lot of mistakes on Sunday against Carolina. But I can certainly see it applying to Leonard Fournette in the backfield situation as well. So if you want to be underweight on Fournette in your lineups tonight, overweight on Rachaad White, I think it makes a ton of sense if you're taking that leap of faith based on the coach's comments. So, because if we go back over to FanDuel, right? Go over to FanDuel. We haven't started there yet. But if we try to play low-risk contests, you have to – sure, you could play Lamar and Tom Brady. That's $9,100 per player. And you could theoretically leave out the running backs here. Gus Edwards, three-headed committee. Leonard Fournette, maybe reduce snaps. And now you just play all these guys in the 8K to 9K range. The kickers, the defenses, some of these underpriced players for their roles, K. Dotton, Rachaad White even, you could play him here. Julio if he plays. So maybe that's the way to go. Play both quarterbacks. You know you're getting the production there. Ignore the running back situation. So maybe it's a little bit easier on FanDuel tonight if you decide to go that route. Now for high-risk contests, we know people are going to play this pretty simply. We know how they're going to play. They're going to play Lamar, and because of some of the value and some of the underpricing, you can play him in any contest type and be okay and feel okay about the rest of your lineup. Because if you play Lamar, what people are going to do, and this is always the first step when it comes to high-risk contests, GPPs, satellites, large field contests, multipliers, whatever you want to call it. We get this question a lot. It's like, is a single entry GPP high risk? Yes, because it depends on the payouts and how many people are in the contest. If you have to beat 80% of the field to make money, and most of the money's in the top 1%, that's a high-risk contest, no matter how many entries you have. So that aside, Lamar Jackson, people are going to play Lamar, and they're going to play two of the following three. They're going to play either Justin Tucker or Ryan Suckup because they're both 4K or less. We know kickers have been crushing this year. They're very cheap. Tucker and Suckup are popular names. They're going to get ownership. And they're going to play a value. Isaiah Likely, Josh Oliver, one of the Bucks receivers. Justice Hill is a decent value as well. If we look just at his game logs when he's played, 5 or more touches in every game as a running back on a run-heavy offense, an efficient run offense, he's going to get love as well. So let's just say we go here. They're going to play 2 of these 3, Tucker, Suck Up, Hill. Tucker, Suck Up, Value. Whatever that combination is. And that allows you, let's just take this out. That allows you to play all these guys up here. And if you include 3, you can play whoever you want. So we know the field's going to build that way. So the easiest way to get around that is to not build that way. So we play more balanced. We play some of these mid-range guys. Bateman, Duvernay, which makes a ton of sense given Tampa Bay's secondary issues. We play Julio. We play K-Dot. We play Rashad White. We play Kenyon Drake in the largest of contests. We play the defenses, who no one's really going to play, especially the Ravens side. While everyone plays the kickers, you could play a defense. Hope for some turnovers. Hope for a defensive touchdown. The other way, obviously, is to just leave Lamar Jackson in your flex and play a pass catcher. Andrews, Godwin, Mike Evans, Bateman, Duvernay in your captain spot. And that automatically gets you a different type of lineup construction. Or the riskiest way is to not play Lamar Jackson at all. Let's say he gets priced out. This normally means Mike Evans and Tom Brady has to have a pretty good game for that to happen. But we've seen it before. And because 80-90% of the field is going to be on Lamar Jackson, if he's not in the optimal lineup, you're already surpassing a large chunk of the field. So a lot of different ways to play it. Really, the key for tonight is monitoring the injuries and the inactives throughout the day. The practice squad call-ups at 4 p.m. Eastern. That'll let us know some stuff. Knowing who the values are, where to pivot from them, and how the field is going to play it. So lots of risk, but lots of potential reward on tonight's slate as well. Now, if you want more in-depth discussion for this particular slate, check out our daily plug. The link is in the description below. Our writer, Bismo, does a fantastic job. It'll be released 2 p.m., 3 p.m. Eastern. It gives rankings for low-risk contests, small field GPPs, large field GPPs, lineup construction tips for individual contest types. It's overall slate notes, more in-depth than I can go here. Make sure you go read that after you watch this video later this afternoon. And the Occupy model is up and running with projected ownership, our proprietary rankings for FanDuel, DraftKings, and Yahoo. And our lineup builder's up. Build up to 300 lineups using our optimal lineup criteria. All the rules we built in, you can use that as well. So that'll do it for this video. Again, as I asked at the beginning, I ask you to subscribe now because if you like these videos, you made it this far, you obviously like what you see, just make sure you subscribe because with all the videos we're putting out, there's a chance that this won't show up in your feed or your search if you're not subscribed. So it just helps you out. Obviously, it helps us out. We always like to be transparent, but it helps you out as well. Give us a thumbs up if you like the video. That lets us know we should continue to do these showdown videos every Monday and Thursday. Any questions you have, join our Discord server, occupyfantasy.com/Discord, or I'll monitor the YouTube channel throughout the day. Just drop a question or a comment below this video, and we'll get back to you before the slate starts at 8:15 p.m. Eastern. So, Brian Jester for Occupy Fantasy. Appreciate you listening as always, and good luck in tonight's Bucks and Ravens showdown slate.